All right, hello YouTube and welcome back to It's Too Late at Night and I really want to go to bed, but I also want to stop thinking about making this video, so here I am recording it at night, where today I am going to be talking about my intelligence stacking scavenger for the purposes of Legacy of Phrecia. Yes, I know in my last video I said I wouldn't make another character. Some things happened. I wound up running into a bunch of divines, as I'll kind of quickly go over. And so I was like, you know what? I'll make one more character. I'll make it a bow character, and that way I will have done all of the major like class types. Right? I've done a minion, a spell, a melee, and now a bow character. So I figured, you know what, it rounds it out. Why not? We'll do it. So here I am with this character. Per usual, if you want to take a look at the path of building, that will be down below in the description real quick. If you just want to grab and go, feel free. There you go. It's down there. I would say this character overall, as you can see, I am level 92, 5 head yet 0 thoughts. So I am level 92 on this character. I have 1300. I have 1370 intelligence on this character. Pretty decent overall, as you can see there in the bottom left as well. I have 10,360 energy shields, so we have a really good life pool that we're working with. We have a lot of really good stuff. Oh, if you're wondering as well why my life is purple, it is from the Night Lotus Helmet cosmetic. I don't know if you can get this anymore. I believe this was from Affliction League on the challenge track. I don't know if you can get that anymore. But anyway, so that's basically just the character as is. We're just stacking intelligence for the purposes of both this bow right here and for the quiver, and also for the enchantment here for 5% of max ES as cold damage to attacks with this weapon. So we're just stacking as much intelligence, we're stacking as much stats as we possibly can for the purposes of everything. And I decided to use Storm Rain because originally I've tried this out with a bunch of things that you can see back here. I have a Scourger of Menace I'm leveling and a Tornado Shot that I'm leveling. I used the skill setup with those skills for a little while. I used another couple other skills. I also was using, I wasn't using Death Rush at first. I was also using Fury Valve just to run that and try that out. And it was okay, but it ultimately, it didn't really do anything for me. It wasn't really like, I was kind of ready to give up on this character a lot sooner than what I thought I would do with this character. I thought it was going to really pop off, and those skills just did not feel great with it. But when I swapped to Storm Rain, when I swapped kind of my setup around and did a few other adjustments, it started to feel a lot better. I wouldn't say that this is a bossing character, for sure. This is not a bossing character. It's not very strong in the bossing department. I have killed a few bosses. I've done Shaper, I've done Elder, I've done some of the just like the lesser bosses of those guys. I've done some of the Maven special invitations that I've done some breach bosses and stuff, and some breaches themselves. And the clear portion, you know, of the breaches and of maps and all that kind of stuff, the clear portion is very smooth and actually feels pretty nice, and we have a good life pool and everything, and we're decently tanky. So overall that feels good, but ultimately the bossing experience is kind of hit or miss, and we might see some of that in this map. So we're just gonna do a quick map. This is just a good old fashioned beach. So I'll just kind of run this down. I'll do some content as we're moving along, but for the most part this is just kind of going to be just cruising right along here. Oops. I keep tapping Q for some reason, like as if that's an actual button. So you can see there, like damage wise, like it ramps because that's how Storm Rain works. Storm Rain is, you know, you put the air, you get the arrows down, you get the beams firing back and forth between each other, and that's how you really start to ramp damage and how you kind of get everything going. But overall, it's a little slow to go. I think I did during actual Settlers League, base Settlers League, I did a dexterity stack Deadeye with Storm Rain, and I think that was actually much better and a lot stronger overall. So I would say very potentially it would probably be better to do this setup as a deck stacker and with Whisperer and Legacy of Phrecia instead. I don't have a tree for that built or anything, but I think that setup would actually be potentially very strong. I can't speak to that exactly because, of course, I haven't really looked into it, but it could be. It could be really strong. But I mean, like I said, though, for the sake of what this character is, which is basically just a mapper, pretty decent. Like, pretty decent clear, pretty decent. Just like I'm just able to just kind of run around, circle around, put, you know, just shoot all my arrows up, make it rain down, make it rain, and you leave enough like arrows on the ground, enough beams that even when you leave an area, there's still ongoing damage happening. So there's still ongoing damage, and enemies are still walking into stuff and still taking this damage from you. So ultimately, it still ends up feeling feeling decent in that regard as well. Like, you really can just kind of fire and forget to a certain degree. Also, I'm just gonna get the 5 stacks, and then I'm just closing Delirium. Get out of here, Delirium. I got Beyond and stuff in here too. I ain't dealing with that. All right, we'll just go kill the map boss, and then I'll just kind of start talking about the build itself, because I'll worry about cleaning up the rest of this map on my own. Ow. Okay, I definitely just let that happen. Don't do that. What I just did right there, don't do that. Which was absolutely, I just stood there and let them beat the crap out of me, because like I said, I'm very tired while I'm I'm recording this. But it also is something that keeps showing up in my mind. Just to be like, make a video on this character, make a video, because once I do, I won't have to. I feel I can feel at peace. I can feel like I'm done. So. Hey, Maven. Yeah, up those stakes. Up there. Oh, Shikari's here. That's annoying. It's not even like, she doesn't even do a lot from a damage perspective because she's mostly chaos damage, but she's still annoying. Get out of here. So, there you go. Realistically, kind of a, oh, never mind, there's still one more. There we go. Okay. So that's a bit more of like a look at kind of what bossing tends to look like with it, where it's like, if you can get a boss that actually does stand still, you can start to overlap a lot of the beams on top of each other, or if it's an especially big target like Maven's brain or something, you can actually get it to start ramping damage pretty heavily, pretty quick, which is nice. But if it's a smaller target, or if it's a target that moves around a lot and you keep having to reset your arrows and stuff, it can be kind of awkward, I will say. But overall, it's still a lot of fun. It's still a lot of fun. I am personally a really big fan of running Storm Rain and doing random things with Storm Rain, so so I have not had any issues playing this build. But like I said, I do think potentially a Whisperer would be a little bit better. And something I will also say is that this character is extremely expensive with how it's set up right now. Like, it is ridiculous how many divines I have thrown into this character for it to just be kind of a good mapper and not a good all-round character, really. So this is why I'm also kind of like, I was hesitant to make the video, but ultimately I still just wanted to anyway. So anyway, so the bow, like I was saying, we're using a ranger bow, and it was simply because a ranger bow is still a good base, or it's at least a decent base. I think it's 6% crit chance base and like 1.3 or 1.4 on the attacks per second, something like that. I think it's 1.3, and which is decent. You could also absolutely, if you got like a spine bow or a thicket bow, either one of those would also be completely fine and would be probably even better. At the time when I was putting the character together, though, I just happened to buy the ranger bow because that was I did not initially have a ton of money, so I just bought the ranger bow, which was I think, I don't even know if it was a divine. It was really cheap. It was maybe 1 divine. However, the thing that is not cheap on the base, you can get everything kind of set up, but the thing that is not cheap here is definitely the craft there. Adds 5% of maximum energy shield, adds cold damage to attacks with this weapon. That is really expensive. And the reason why is it is because that costs, I believe, 44 time runes, which is, as of right now, 72 divines. So it's 72 divines just for the time rune piece, and then it's also 66 mountain runes, so it's another 22. So you're already looking at like 96 divines just to put this craft on the bow. Now, is it fully necessary? No. You could still absolutely do other things, like I said, do dex stack if you really wanted to. Or if you did want to do this, you could just use it, run a different craft until you're maybe able to get around to putting this on here. This is like a super ideal condition, is you put this kind of thing on it. Or if you didn't want to do stacking, then, you know, also you could certainly do a different thing. But again, purposes of this character, we're stacking. We are stacking intelligence. So the cool thing I will say about this bow, though, is that this bow actually kind of gives us, our weapon really gives us like 3 sources of damage. It gives us 3 ways to scale our damage just by itself. So obviously we get the implicit 1-6 lightning damage with attack, or 2 attacks with this weapon per tenant. We get the 5% of max ES as cold, and on top of that, if we try to build our weapon a bit more on the physical damage side, if we try to get it a little bit more phys built, we can take Doom Fletch on the Scavenger, which then gives us 20% of our weapon physical damage as extra damage of each element, which also really helps us balance Trinity out with this build. So it overall gives us 3 really big ways to scale just off of our weapon itself, which I actually liked. We'll go more into the Ascendancy and the tree in a little while. But item-wise, yeah, so, you know, bow, very good. But like I said, bunch of different ways you can go with that. Spine bow is really good, thicket bow is really good. Those are probably the 3 bases I'd really use. Maybe a Harbinger bow. Harbinger bow as well could be at least decent. So those are probably the other bases I would really consider. And then crafting-wise, we're just trying... All that I did was I just spammed Essences of Contempt here. Just spam Deafening Essence of Contempt until it hit just at least an okay phys damage roll, and then some other, you know, an elemental damage roll on that. Attack speed there in the suffix. It's not a good attack speed roll, and the life per enemy killed does nothing, but the increased crit chance and the just crafted strength and int is also still very nice for us, because again, it's more intelligence. So overall, it's not terrible. Could it be a lot bigger? Absolutely. This thing could be way bigger if you're willing to throw more, you know, contempt at it, or if you're willing to just craft it by, you know, doing some harvest crafting. You could probably do some sort of beast craft or maybe a fossil craft with it if you're smarter than I am, which is probably many of you. And then, let's see. So helmet-wise, we're just using Lich's Circlet. Pretty much most of our gear, otherwise, is just going to be the highest energy shield base gear that we can. And then from there, the rest of it's kind of simple. We want intelligence on everything. We want as much maximum energy shield as we can get. And then we just want resistances. That's basically it. That's basically all that we're going for on pretty much all of our gear. So you'll see that as a very common theme throughout all of this. So just spam either defense craft on your Hoarder crafting here, spam defense craft there, or just get yourself some Essence of Woe and just craft everything through Essence of Woe. You could also craft things through Essence of Spite, which is what I will talk about as far as rings and jewelry go. Would definitely say Essence of Spite there. We're using Astromenace here. I happened to get an Astromenace that had, I think, a 94. I believe this is a 94 base roll. Yes. I happened to get one that had a 94 base roll. Decided to just roll with it from there. Astromenace is very nice, though, because it solves the rest of our attribute problems. We don't have to really think about attributes for anything else, really. We don't have to think about dex requirements or strength requirements. We can just slap on Astromenace. We don't have to think about it. We're good. So I'd say Astromenace is probably the best solution here. You could, though, still get a, like, 18% increased intelligence implicit amulet, and then still just try to craft. You'd probably still want to craft just like a... You'd want to hit intelligence and then all attributes on it, most likely, would be what you'd want to do, and then just whatever else you can get from there. And that would be pretty strong by itself too. I just think Astromenace is both a cheap option and still a very solid option. And then we're allocating lethality, which is this node down here. Like I said, quiver-wise, Poise Prism, we're getting a lot of... We could actually get quite a bit all attributes here, and of course a lot of intelligence, so Poise Prism does a lot for us there. And then we're just using, like I said, with the boots, same thing. Intelligence, move speed, the regenerates life obviously does nothing, but intelligence, and then just as much energy shield as possible, and then move speed, and then gloves, same thing. Although these ones just happen to roll a little bit of, happen to roll dexterity as well. The rest of it rolled too well for me to focus on trying to remove the dexterity and trying to remove that 1 to 2 phys damage to attacks. I was like, So it's ultimately fine the way that these gloves are ultimately fine the way they are. If they were a better base, like a better base percentage, that would be nice. But I'm not gonna really try to go that hard into it. So that's all we got there. Chest piece, same thing. Same thing here. Resistances, increased energy shield, all that kind of good stuff. That's what you're looking for. Try to get a really big one. Belt wise, percent increased intelligence here, definitely just our best option for synthesized. I believe this rolls 13 to 15%. These are really cheap. I think I bought this for 30C. So these were really cheap. And then all that you do is just spam deafening essence on these till you get resistances. Ideally increased LE damage with attack skills if you get a bigger roll on it than I did. And then max ES. Bada bing, bada boom. Throw some attribute catalyst on that, and Bob's your uncle. You'll be in a good spot. This is where I will say the build gets outside of the bow and the craft on the bow. This is the other part of the build that gets ridiculously expensive. And if you're not somebody that enjoys running heist, it might be a bit hard. So these rings right here, helical rings, they give you -2 prefix plus 1 suffix, but they increase, or -2 prefix plus 1 suffix. Sorry, I think I said -1 suffix plus 1 suffix, and then they give you 50% increased suffix modifier magnitudes. These are very expensive. To get one that is, to get a helical ring that is not mirrored, corrupted, or already fractured, I believe they are 50 plus divines a piece. They are incredibly expensive. I just happened to drop them in Grand Heist. They come out of Grand Heist, so if you're somebody that's fine with running Heist, maybe you get lucky, you just get one, and then you can split it. Also, do remember, if you get one, be smarter than me. There is a option to split an item into 3. Actually, I don't know if you can split these into 3. You could try. You could try, because I don't know if it needs to have 6 attributes on it in order to split into 3. If it does need 6 attributes to split into 3, then you can't split it into 3. And never mind, I'm completely making stuff up. If you can split it into 3 anyway, definitely split it into 3, because then you can sell one of the rings. But if you can't, then just split it into 2 and then use them both for yourself. But these rings overall are incredibly strong. They give us, as you see here, that's 70% increased attributes that we are receiving from this ring. So normally this is 55 int and 14 to all attributes, but now it's 93 int and 23 to all attributes. So tons of value that we get out of these rings. Just spam, like I was saying earlier, just spam the Essence of Spite on these guys. Deafening Essence of Spite, very cheap actually, and you can buy them in bulk very easily. And you just spam this on here. You try to get as much. You just try to get intelligence and some just, if you need resistances, get resistances, but otherwise you try to get intelligence in all attributes, I think, and then you try to get max ES in the 1 prefix slot that you have. It's a little bit harder, but if you can hit it into your 1 prefix slot, then that's fantastic. And then attack speed is also very nice for us in this build. But yeah, if you hit good resistance rolls too, it will absolutely fix your resistances. I actually will probably re-roll this thing, honestly. I didn't realize how overcapped I am on lightning res, so I could absolutely roll this thing to be much juicier, and I might do that. But like I said, these are really expensive, but they are quite good. And then we'll very quickly go through gem setup here, and then we'll start rolling into the tree. So per usual, like I said, we're using Storm Rain 2120. Storm Rain's very cheap to buy. I think this is 20 or 30C to buy, so recommend just buying one. Greater multiple projectiles, because if you do not and you just have that like that, you get all of 3 projectiles, and it's going to make things pain to I'll be honest, it will be very pain to set up your beams to actually be hitting a proper amount of targets without greater multiple projectiles. Highly recommend taking that. Mirage Archer, of course, because that just further helps, gets more projectiles out, gets more beams going. Trinity is just super good. We're able to balance it. I think we're able to balance it largely because of the craft on the bow here. So if you're not able to balance Trinity, just swap this in for something like even just an elemental penetration, or just a lightning pen, something. Critical strikes, critical damage, something along those lines. Whatever best suits your needs at the time. And then we have an awakened elemental damage with attacks here. I literally just dropped this today, so it's not level. But if you, and obviously just use regular ally damage with attacks. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Damage on full life support is great for us. We're a CI build. We are Chaos Inoculation, which means we're always on full life. So that means that the skills just deal whatever this is going to be. I think 30, I think it goes to 34, 35 if you corrupt it. So again, more damage. Very, very strong additional gem here for us. Over here on the hat, we have Purity of Elements, Precision, and Enlighten in here. You don't need the Enlighten. It's just a little bit comfier. So I just have the Enlighten in here. And I should actually move my Skitterbots over into that too. But those are the big things that we're using. Purity of Elements you don't necessarily need to use as well. I just think it's comfy for this build in particular to not have to worry about elemental ailments whatsoever. It is just very, very nice to not have to worry about Ignite or anything like that. You can just skip it. It also does make gearing, especially in the early part of this, a little bit easier to just have Purity of Elements. But realistically, you absolutely can just fix resistances on your gear in general, and then just run something like Wrath here, or whatever else you want to run here. So you can absolutely run another damage aura. I just like what Purity of Elements offers us. So yeah, that precision, lighten, all that good stuff there. Down here, I'm just leveling an inspiration, so don't worry about that. Then we have a blink arrow, our discipline, of course, and I'm also just leveling this elemental damage with attack still. So nothing. I can't remember if I was ever going to put anything into these slots here. There's probably something else I could put here that would be good, but I'm too tired to think about what it is right now. So we'll move on. With that, Assassin's Mark. Assassin's Mark just more crit multi, and also gives us a power charge. But actually we have multiple ways to get power charges, so that's good. Frostblink just for movement, and then Mark on hit, of course, for our Assassin's Mark. And then up here, like I said, Summon Skitterbox probably just goes into the hat, and then you could do a 6-link setup here, whatever you wanted to do ultimately. But we have a Mana Forged Arrow Frenzy setup just to actually generate Frenzy charges for us, because Frenzy charge is good. So, you know, take advantage of it. Power charge on crit as well, so we're also generating power charges here. So we very consistently are getting power charges, whether it's from Assassin's Mark or from power charge on crit. Energy Leech, this is kind of a nothing burger. I just am too lazy to actually change this to something else. But you could probably do this as a full cast on crit setup and put something else here, like a Hydrosphere or something maybe. Hydrosphere, you could do, I think Hydrosphere would actually be really good. So cast on crit Hydrosphere, or you could do, actually, if you really wanted to, you could also set it to a cast on crit LE weakness, and then just remove Assassin's Mark. But I don't know how worth that is. I don't know. That'd be interesting. You could do that. There is a number of ways you could go with that. Cast on crit though something with Mana Forge is really good, and then just of course increase critical strikes just to also further help us spin up our power charges a bit faster. So that's all that we're rocking in the chess piece here. But overall, the important thing here, Mana Forge Arrow's Frenzy, very solid. Get us our Frenzy charges, and if you can get it to generate your power charges too with some more stuff, then do it by all means. More charges equals more good. But with that, also I'm gonna walk in here just to make sure I don't lose these portals, even though I'm really tired. I don't even know if I'm gonna finish this map. But anyway, so with that though, we'll kind of roll into what the actual tree for this character is looking like. So like I said, first lab I will say for Scavenger is really boring too. You just get these 2 passive points, so it's kind of a bummer. You don't really get to be much of a build until honestly 3rd lab. But yeah, just you know, take your 2 passives here. I took Cloak of Flame here. You could take Blunderbore if you really wanted to. But realistically, Cloak of Flame is just such a comfy and and really helps us be pretty decently tanky, even as a CI build that's running no grace, no determination, no nothing. So Cloak of Flame actually helps us out a lot without even needing to invest into those other defensives, which is actually really nice. And then we go over here, like I was saying earlier, we take Doomfletch, because Doomfletch for our weapon, make it a big fizz weapon. Doomfletch, good. And then lastly, Death Rush. There's not a ton else here that I would take. Like I said, I tried Fury Valve, so if you really wanted to try out some of the other skills for yourself, if you wanted, or maybe if you had like maybe if you were extremely rich and you dropped one of the helical rings and put in like a Nimis, and then went to and then used Fury Valve as well or something, or maybe you do still use Death Rush. But if you had like a Nimis, I could absolutely see you running a different skill other than Storm Rain, and still instack, still do something, but then instead of Storm Rain, run something else, like just like a Lightning Arrow or something if you had just a Nimis, if you wanted to do that. But that would be an extremely rich setup, and I again still don't really know how well that would really feel or do. But hey, who knows? Maybe it would be really good. But otherwise, Death Rush is just good. Adrenaline for 5 seconds on kill. Very, very solid additional. Very, very solid just addition. And again, it does help us a lot while we're mapping, because then we just deal a bunch of damage and we just get to schmoove. Like we just get to really pop off. So from there though, we're just making our way out of the Scavenger tree. Since we're Scavenger, we do not get to jump over to anybody's start point just to begin with. So we're just going over here. Another important thing is a Watcher's Eye with gaining energy shield per hit while affected by discipline. You can absolutely pair this with a couple other things. There's like attack damage or crit multi with precision. There's another one. I think there's a good one for if you wanted to run haste as well, like figure out a way, run haste in your setup as well. You could do that. And then you could take phasing while you have haste, which then would add even more kind of juice to the build and really more comfort to it. So that's up to you. But I believe those are really expensive, so I just went with the energy shield per enemy hit, which is very nice because it applies to both the arrows themselves from Storm Rain and the beams as they're hitting. So you will be regenerating energy shield constantly. It'll be crazy, crazy, crazy value that you're getting. And from there, we're going over here to Foresight, of course. We're going to take some increased energy shield on our helmet. And we're cruising on over. I would say take this area kind of later in your tree setup. I wouldn't even say you need to worry about Foresight early on in your tree setup. But kind of just make your way over, taking Throat Seeker, get some high voltage action, convert more of your fizz damage, and really, I would say early on, try to make your way down towards the bow nodes first. The bow mastery here I took for increased Mirage Archer duration. It's not very necessary, but it is kind of a bit of just like a comfort pick, comfort point. But you don't really need it necessarily. In fact, I might even just get rid of it right now. Bada bing, bada boom. We're taking Arcing Blows. So, like I said, you're coming all the way down here. I would say just take the bow stuff first. Take the bow stuff and multi-shot first. That is going to be a really big source of damage for you. So 100% take that, and then grab like Thrill the Battle with the Mana Mastery. If you're feeling the pressure early on from like mana needs, feel free to take Clever Thief, because that is also another very good pick. Take Clever Thief, and then just kind of grab Fervor, and then come over here and take Forces of Nature, and come over here and take Charisma as well. Very good notes. Later on, though, when you start to get to endgame and you take this spot here, this right here, we can throw in a split personality with 5 int and max ES, which will gives us you see here. Actually, I think my face blocking it. My face blocking it. We're getting 35. To int and to energy shield with this split personality positioning. We aren't doing anything else that really lets us get away with making it go further than that. So just like that, we're just using a split personality here. Just gives us some more thickness on top of our character. Also, the accuracy mastery that we're taking here with Acuity is accuracy equal to our intelligence. We do have a lot of intelligence, so that's just giving us more accuracy as well. Really helps us stay capped off, which is great. Over here in this corner as well, next to Charisma, this is a Fertile Mind right here. Intelligence, and then transforms Dexterity into Intelligence around here. So we just get a good chunk more Intelligence. And coming down to Ballistics as well. Ballistics also transforms into Intelligence. It's not just the small nodes that transform into Int, it's also the big nodes. So just another little line there. And again, since we're CI, we're not worrying about going through Blood Siphon and coming down this way. Something else that is pretty nice and girthy, also Force of Nature, of course, and the Monster Elemental inversion on that number there. Something else that's really nice for this build too is being able to use a Lion Eyes Fall here, and then Lionized Fall turns all of all of the melee types around here, which is a dagger and a claw tree, and turns them into bow nodes. So instead, we'd get a bunch of damage. We would get a bunch of damage and crit multi with bows. So that's what we get from the dagger side. And then on the claw side, we get some attack speed and damage as well. And then also we get a chance to steal charges from enemies. So if you're running a map where enemies are gaining charges or anything like that, you'll be stealing charges. So if you have endurance charges, then you'll be like, where am I getting these from? That's where you're getting them from. So very cozy pick as well, just kind of denying enemies from having charges whenever they can be generating them, because enemies having charges is scary. So yeah, we just take we go up here, we take all these, and we get just a ton of damage, a ton of versatility and utility out of this Lionized Fall placement right here. And then otherwise, we're just coming over here, we take Assassination. This is a kind of a point that's up to you. If you want to, much like me, just maximize int and shield, then just take this int node and take Cold-Hearted Calculation. If you are just like, I don't really care that much, give me the crit, by all means, go crit. Take out this int node, go crit, plug it in right there. Sweet. And yeah, that's pretty much what we have going on up there. Obviously, we're coming up here to Utmost Intellect as well. Once you kind of get to a point where you actually can use the bow that you're planning to use for the intelligence stack portion, come up here to Utmost Intellect and take the increased attribute node there. And then you can come over here to Arcane Focus. Whenever you have like a good helmet as well, go over here, take Foresight and the Energy Shield Mastery. And whenever you feel like you have enough Energy Shield, slap on Chaos Inoculation. I would say probably right around the 2,500 to 3,000 when you're getting to the end of the game. Right around that mark is usually fine. And also if you do have the Watcher's Eye node, that will make a huge difference in your survivability as well, and will also make the transition to CI a lot smoother, I would say. Otherwise, yeah, just regular jewels as well, crit multi, energy shield. This would be a lot better if it had like attack speed or more crit multi on it as well, or just flat intelligence on it as well. That would also be great, but I'm not going to be too much of a stickler for it. But yeah, with that though, I think that is everything I can think of for the character. We went through tree, yada yada, items, all that kind of good stuff. Showed you a map. I think we're good. I think we're chilling. Like I said, this is actually my last character for Legacy of Phrecia. I don't think I even have enough time really to churn out another one before the Path of Exile 2 release on the 4th. Maybe if I really sat down and tried it, but I don't think I'm going to. I really would like to try some other games and do some other stuff in the meantime. But yeah, that's really all that I have for this character. Like I said, very solid mapping character, kind of just fun to go around and just laser some enemies for a while. It's not gonna blow anyone's mind when it comes to bossing or anything like that. Is it doable? Absolutely. Is it the greatest? No, not at all. And like I said, I think if you really wanted to go even further beyond and you were like, well, I want to do Storm Rain, but I want to do something stronger than this Instacker, I would 100% say do a Whisperer and go deck stacking instead. And I can almost guarantee your damage would skyrocket. I can't guarantee it for sure. That's why I say almost. But I do think that Whisperer deck stack would be probably even bigger than this, would probably be a lot better than this, especially for Storm Rain. But I really just wanted to play Scavenger, because Scavenger is a really cool idea, really cool thing that we have existing in this Legacy of Phrecia environment. So I want to play around with it, and like I said, while it's not the greatest character, I still wanted to just show it off a little bit, just to put something out just for a little bit of fun before the end of the event and all that kind of good stuff. Hope you've been having fun with Legacy of Phrecia. Hope this video either taught you something or you just enjoyed watching, or who knows, man. Whatever it is, I hope you've been having a good time. Like I said, if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. Happy to answer. The POB is in the description, per usual. And yeah, with that, I am probably gonna go to bed now. See you next time. Stay sane, Exiles.